Hello and welcome back to the DayLuna Human Design Podcast with your hosts, Dana and Shayna. Today we have no guest. It's just us. I almost autopilot
Today
said
we
we
have a
have on a
special
special
guest.
guest.
It's myself.
Yep. Me and Dana and our dogs, who you never hear. Well, sometimes you do if you're listening to past episodes, but they're always here for every episode, all three of our dogs. Um, but yeah, we're talking about money today, and we're talking about why it's needed more than ever for the people who are wanting to really change the world. And that is kind of a glimpse at the new paradigm and where things are going inevitably over the next hundreds of years. But it's embracing it now within yourself, within your body, and really claiming that because you can't change the world without money. And that's just the paradigm that we live in. That's just the reality that we live in. Money is energy. And if you avoid it, or if you stifle it, or if you limit it, then you're limiting the energy and the flow and the impact that you can ultimately have. So, we're going to break that down today. We're going to talk about it through this human design lens. And yeah, but in general, Dana, how are you feeling today?
Well, I'm in peak summer nomad season, which is my favorite time of the year. It is the Leo season of the year. It is Lionsgate portal energy. And I'm just really excited for abundance and expansion for us, for all of our community. Like, I just really feel like in the summertime, it feels like nature is in its prime abundance, where there's, you're swimming in the water and you're walking through the forest, at least I am, and seeing all of that abundance around me and seeing the beauty in nature and seeing how that can be reflected in our lives and in the heaven on earth that we're co-creating. Like, I just feel like this is a really inspiring time of year for me, where I feel super motivated to help people come into that natural state of abundance. And, thinking about this episode today and thinking about how money deserves to be in the hands of more conscious people. I mean, it's interesting. We're in a global time where there's a lot of human suffering. There's a lot of corporate greed that is blocking spiritual people from leading into a better future. And I feel like when you really let that in, it can feel disheartening. But when we look at the incredible planet that we are able to live on, that we are gifted our lives in this lifetime and an ability to have these higher forms of consciousness and to not just be, for those of us who are privileged enough to not just be struggling for survival, what are we going to do with that privilege? How are we going to appreciate our opportunity to live on this incredibly abundant, beautiful planet? How are we going to use our opportunity to elevate our consciousness to anchor in change on this physical plane so that there's more peace, more unity, more harmony? So I really feel like this time of year is just so powerful. It's an important time to be having this conversation because on one hand, yeah, there is so much pain and suffering and, stuff happening in the world that can feel disheartening. But on the other hand, it's like, this is a really pivotal point where everything that we're thinking and all the intentions we're setting are amplified. So let's make sure that we are setting intentions around our expansion, our rising, so that we can be empowered individuals who become powerful with our resources and are actually able to make the change that we see in the world. So I'm feeling like lit up, so inspired about this. How about you?
Yeah, no, I feel the same. I'm ready. I'm like
Yeah.
already, 3,000 years in the future in
Yeah.
my soul's
It's so
in my
true.
soul's life that I'm like, damn, like I'm just ready for that. I'm ready for that. And I
Yeah.
think everybody is, right? Like we're all having this collective heartbreak and also like what the actual fuck, how did we get here, or why are
Yeah.
things so corrupt or so controlled, or why are there so many games that you have to play to be able to reach success, or why does money and like investing or different things feel so yucky in a lot of places, and how can we really shift that script, right? Like the the stories that have been really creating our reality right now are shifting, and it's our consciousness, all of us here, everybody listening to this, but also everybody who is really doing this intentional work of expanding your own awareness. Like, as our consciousness shifts, we can consciously shape how our physical resources and money is going to be shaping our physical reality. And it takes intention. It takes conversations like this one and many, 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 many more to come, and many that have been before this conversation to really help usher in that change. So, if you're listening to this, you chose to be born in this time. For this is one of the reasons, like for so many reasons, but this is a major one of those reasons, is really helping to reshape the world consciously, with awareness, with more love, with more expansion, and with um more, I want to say abundance, but abundance almost feels like this blanket term. But what I mean is like the opposite of lack, right? That
Yeah.
lack mentality, that lack mindset, or frequency that has created so much greed or created so much need to control other people, because you have this energy of like, there's not enough, or if they win then I must be losing, like I have to be above, they have to be below. um there's just so much. So when I think of the opposite of lack, I think of abundance and overflowing, space for everyone, room for everyone, everyone feeling that their needs are met, and not just their needs are met, but that they are limitless in what they can pursue and explore and the joy that they can feel. And of course, there's places where the bar is so low that it's literally they don't have food on their plates or plates. They just don't have anything. And then there's places where the bar is really high, where it's like, what's that next level of abundance in the cup overflowing? And how do we welcome in that energy without the guilt or the shame or the judgment or the comparison, where we can all really thrive and not just the select few?
Yeah, I really like to look at everything in life in two categories, and those two categories are either love or fear. And so when I think about like abundance mindset versus a lack mindset is clearly on the fear side, and abundance mindset is on the love side. Another way to look at greed is that fear. It's being disconnected from the unity of all people, of all consciousness, of all oneness. And that fear can really be like cancerous, where people are greedy and they could be really successful, but it's coming from a lack of love, and it's truly coming at the end of the day from fear. And so for us here in this conversation, with all of the people who are considering themselves light workers or wanting to help shift paradigms or wanting to create a better world, it's always about how do we step into love. Like another word for abundance is love, is unity, is seeing, having faith and trust in the evolution of our humanity, and also feeling empowered and confident in ourselves that we can make this shift in the highest expression and not slipping into that fear. And it's interesting, with times being what they are, and we're watching the news and there's all of this stuff going on, I feel like it's easy to feel like we're not going into the right direction with a new paradigm. Like, when we talk about Ra Ruhu talking about how the new paradigm is going to be like everyone for themselves, and we're just going to be like fighting monkeys that are taking from each other and starving from each other. That's obviously the fear end of the polarity, the lack mentality end of the polarity. The other side of that same story can be abundance, unity, trust, sharing, being interconnected. And so in this time right now, it's important to know that these things are coming up. This greed is coming up. Corporate capitalism that is toxic for our unity and our collective abundance is coming up, because it's like we're shaking out the rug. And, all of this stuff is coming to the surface to be seen, to be sorted, to be dealt with, but it's not proof that we're going in the wrong direction. It's actually proof that we're shaking things up and things are crumbling for us to be rebuilding it. So it's more important now than ever for people to be harnessing that love, that confidence, and ultimately that unity consciousness, so that we can really be abundant. So let's talk about how you can do that. one of the big things about human design that is the biggest takeaway is you're using your inner authority. And I really feel like something that people don't talk about enough is that when you're using your authority and you're just choosing what's aligned for you, you are naturally creating your values, your principles, and your boundaries. And when we're talking about finances, and abundance and money in general, like one of the biggest power points that we have is how we choose to invest, what we choose to buy or purchase, the people that we choose to learn from, etc. And that can feel like a really overwhelming topic because there's so many people in the world. There's so many voices, there's so many options, there's so many ways that we can spend our money. And so it's easy for people to get overwhelmed by all of that and to feel disempowered and to go into that fear or lack side. But I feel like if you can just focus your inner authority on everything that you're doing, including how you're investing your money, it takes out all of the guesswork. It takes out all of the overwhelm, and it helps you realize that by investing in what's right for you and what's aligned for you, you're naturally creating boundaries around what you don't want to support, what you don't want to invest in, and thus using your dollar to vote for the future that you want and the future that you don't want. So that's a huge takeaway. Is like when you are looking for places to invest your money, when you are looking for teachers or education to invest in, make sure you are using your authority because that is really going to align you with taking your power back and having these boundaries around what you don't want to invest in. So that's a big tip for everyone here. Another thing that I wanted to say is that with marketing and selling yourself, like raise your hand if you have an undefined ego center, because it makes it so hard for you to price yourself and to ask for what you deserve. And you feel like you want to work harder and harder and prove you're valuable and then not ask for anything in return. And this is something that we talked about before, that the standardized conditioning of society has really capitalized on that. The fact that people are afraid to ask for what they're worth and to stand in their value because we're not actually sure what our worth is, because we've become disconnected from our inherent worthiness. That's once again going back to looking at abundance or scarcity as love versus fear. That's slipping into the fear side and not knowing that you are this incredibly powerful person who is inherently worthy and that you don't need to bend over backwards or drain yourself or live in a place of burnout or extreme busyness in order to be valued. Like this is a really big thing to look at if you have an undefined G center as far as claiming more abundance in your life.
Ego center, undefined ego.
Oh, sorry, what did I say?
G center.
Oh.
But yeah, it's so interesting how, and we've both felt this throughout our journeys in our life, and people will tell you this, like, spirituality should be free. And if you really love this thing, then you should be just giving it, if you really want to help people, then you should just be giving it away to as many people as possible. And while I agree that there should definitely be accessibility and tiers and options, and you can, use your authority to decide what that is for you. Um, the other side of that is, if you are going to be making an impact on the world and really making change, you need money to do that. And the things that you are sharing are valuable. And that energetic exchange needs to feel equal, right? Like they are receiving this energy from me and I'm receiving this equal energy from them, whether that is financial or maybe that is through connections with them, maybe that is through getting to have a really like insightful conversation that you're getting to learn from this client, and that energy exchange feels right. There's so many different ways to exchange energy, but when we're talking about, you know, generosity and being able to give to as many people as you possibly can, the more abundant you are, the more abundance you can share with other people. Like whenever I picture, like, even when I was, in the Great Pyramid, the first time I went to Egypt and I was sending out this prayer for the world of freedom, of liberation, I was picturing every like $10 that came into my bank account. I almost pictured it like a mound. Like every $10 that came into my bank account, I would then spend and like give out the whole $10 to the world, and then $100 would fill up my account. And then I would give that out to the world, and then $1,000 would fill up my account. I would give that out to the world, and just kept going. Like the more that you have, the more that you can give. And it's not that you can't, giving that doesn't look like things that you're investing in for yourself, or putting that back into your business, or buying your home or your car, or your food for the week. Like that is still giving that money out. Somebody's receiving that. But that also can be you hiring people and giving them an incredible opportunity. That can look like you going into a restaurant and buying everyone's meals secretly and just leaving. That energy of, I get to use money for liberation and freedom, and in a way that matches where my heart is. That is true abundance, in my opinion. And
Mhm.
the trick here, though, is getting clear on where your heart is and understanding the energetic exchange, right? Like how money is energy. And if you're stifling it or controlling it, or you're afraid of it, that's what you're like, that's how you're treating this precious resource that is here to ultimately liberate you and other people. So I definitely feel like my greatest dream for the world is that everybody has access to amazing resources. Honestly, my biggest dream for the world is 3,000 years in the future, of course, where
When we're
like we
already
all
all
have
solved and figured it all out.
no, when we don't need money anymore. Like when money
Mm.
doesn't even exist, and like
Yeah.
if you need something, you just straight up Star Trek this shit. Like it gets generated on a little machine, and it's like, "Oh, here's my food, here's my drink, here's this thing that I need." Like instead we're trading insight, we're trading skills and passion, and not needing money to like buy and sell and whatever. So that's my greatest, like that's where I'm really at. But if I'm back here in, 2025, then really feel like my greatest dream is that everybody has the opportunity to connect with the resources that match their heart, and where they're wanting to generously share their heart and their gifts and their passion. And of course, it does require privilege to be able to ask yourself what you're passionate about, and what your purpose is, and who you are, and what you're meant to do, and then go out and pursue that thing. But that privilege, like you can ask those questions, in on your own, inside, internally. The privilege is like getting access to this information, right? So there's so many different things. But if you're listening to this and you're like, gosh, I really do feel like my heart wants to help everyone on the planet, so I've only been pricing my stuff at, $10. There's so many different creative ways for you to help people for free and still charge what you're worth, to have that correct energetic exchange. And the last thing I'll say on this is that when someone receives something for free, they value it as a free thing. They don't value it with the same level of reverence
Commitment.
and commitment, and it doesn't impact their life in the same way that it would if they invested energy into it. Whether that was they came and they worked on this thing with you and then they got to receive it, they're going to be that interest, that investment, that energetic investment is there, whether it's financial or not. So it's such a good example. Like I've given my husband like free courses that we've done, like, here, you can learn this thing. And of course my projector ass like was not invited. And
And
he's
then
like,
he
"Yeah, no, I
doesn't do
want
it
this." And he doesn't do it.
because
And
it was
and
free.
because it was free. Exactly. But so then the next time he's like, "Oh, I really want to learn this thing." And I'm like, "Great. Here's the link. Like you can buy it." And then he did, and he like showed up every single week to take this course. So it's just kind of like, okay, allowing your generous heart to be there, and then getting really clear on like, okay, how do I want to help the world? And what is the energetic exchange that feels right? And using your authority with that thing.
Yeah, I love that. And when we're talking about like abundance and money coming in to your life, I think that this, first of all, that undefined ego is so important. But second of all, this is a really important conversation, what you're saying about knowing that things have value and that you have to claim it in order for that energy to be known. Like you're almost like stating that this is important to you or that this matters or that it's connected to your worth. And so I really feel like pricing yourself higher and not feeling bad about that is going to be such a healthy energy for things coming abundance coming into your life in all levels. And for energy going out, money going out and expending, I love this example of what you gave in the pyramids of like every dollar that you give out, imagining it amplifying and coming back into you. Like I feel like those are both just really good simplified things that you can focus on in your life. One, that just visualization of every dollar going out being amplified as it comes back to you so that you feel more comfortable receiving and giving. And also just learning how to price yourself and not feeling bad about that. And I'd really like to talk about kind of social media and marketing because obviously with our Activate Your Golden Purpose course that we're doing, this training, part of it is really learning how to market your brand, how to market your energy out into the world. And I feel like a lot of spiritual people who have these incredible gifts that they want to share with the world, they want to heal the world, they want to give their medicine, but they have such a block when it comes to promoting it. Like there can just be such this icky, self-conscious, self-sabotaging energy when it comes to sharing yourself. And if you, first of all, if you really deeply believe in your inherent worth and what you're giving is powerful, then that's the first step. And then second step is really knowing how to share in alignment with your truth. And I feel like that's been the block for most of us. Like we are coming into this world where social media has opened our eyes to see so many other people like never before. Like our human biology is not designed to be able to see millions of people with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers. Like just the overwhelm of that many people and that many eyes looking at people, and for us to be able to see that, it really can trigger so much not self and mental anxiety. And we have really declared in our own lives to completely unsubscribe to that rat race. And it has felt so liberating, especially with both of us having undefined egos. You know, there's definitely been times in my life where I've looked at other people's accounts that are doing something similar and seen that they had more followers than us, or that they're posting more times a day, or geez, they're sharing reels and we're not. And that comparison just so clearly puts me into bitterness, and it puts me straight into the fear and the lack mindset, the opposite of love, confidence, and abundance that I really want in my life to be able to operate in my highest expression. So, something really cool about this course is that we go through the Pearl sequence and you look at the exact qualities, like the code in your design, to know exactly what you need to focus on to take the initiative to share more, the ways that you need to grow into that. We talk about your specific brand and what those energies are and how to share them. And it feels so liberating. It truly feels like a soul gift where you rise above this material world of comparison or greed or kind of like all of those like very human fears that we can slip into. And you rise into this soulful energy. And for us, working with our own Pearl sequence energies and sharing and marketing ourselves in that way, it's just amazing how it transforms your inner world and your inner relationship to marketing yourself, and you feel so much more in that love frequency, that faith frequency, that open sharing, giving, valuing yourself frequency. And the results that come from that are so powerful and so beautiful. So if you are someone who is scrolling through social media and you're seeing someone who's really triggering you with their marketing, first of all, I would ask you to look at that trigger as a place that is a wound inside of you that you haven't fully healed yourself. You haven't fully accepted yourself or known yourself in that space. And to just let that be a small little reminder to disconnect from that external world of comparison and to come back into your own energy, because that's clearly a signpost that you're comparing yourself to other people instead of being in your own empowerment with the way that you are designed to share your medicine.
And honestly, like side rant on this same topic is the energy between like envy and celebrating someone. Like that's that difference of fear or lack and abundance or love. And I've really been experimenting with, anytime I do feel that bitterness or getting triggered or my not self popping up on Instagram specifically or social media, whatever. where I'm comparing myself, or I feel envious, like, wow, they have a lot of followers, or they're really successful, or, you know, whatever. And I'm feeling that envy, to like notice it, signpost, and see if I can just celebrate them for that thing that I was judging, or that I was, like, good for them for putting themselves out there. Good for them for, making all of that money that's possible for me, for example. Like, having that, trying to transmute envy or lack with celebration of someone else. And you can take that a step further by reposting that thing on your story. If it's like, you got to check the frequency there, check your not self. But like, really taking a time to celebrate other people. And I just want to encourage you also that with the topic of what goes around comes around, right? When we're talking about, like, I give $10 and I receive 100 back, like, I buy everyone's meal at the restaurant, and like that energy comes back to me, where like people come in out of nowhere and just support my business in a way I could have never imagined. That energy of like, everything is energy, and it comes back full circle, and you get what you give out. With that, I would also encourage you, like, when you see somebody doing something that you absolutely love and admire, or are inspired by on social media, to share it. It started small with me to like really start noticing this, but we had this discussion before, like, we would send each other memes or reels or whatever, and it's like, we're just looking at it, and I would do that with my husband, and he never likes any of the posts, like, at all. And I was like, that's like walking past a street musician and like watching the whole performance and then not tipping at all. Like, you received that performance and then you just walk away. Like, if you're going to enjoy it for at least longer than a minute, you got to drop like $1 or at least a quarter, like something, right? So dropping a like, it has been that equivalent. And then taking that a step further of like, you know what? I'm just going to celebrate people that I'm proud of and their wins. And, if my friend writes a book, like, I'm going to buy 5 copies and I'm going to shout it from the mountaintops. Like, that energy of generosity that doesn't necessarily have to be tied to finances. Once again, what goes around comes around, and you never know. Like, somebody might come across your creation and just share it with their millions of followers, just because that energy's come back around to you. So, permission, like, just little tiny tips. I just want to plant the seed of areas of your life that you might not even realize that you're operating from autopilot or lack or fear, that you can easily shift into generosity, abundance, and love.
Yeah, I love that because I've always felt like if you can't celebrate another person's happiness or thriving, it's oftentimes because you don't feel truly confident or happy within yourself or grounded within yourself. And I've observed that in my personal life, like, as a teenager with friends where like they get the role in the school play that I wanted or whatever it is, and you're like a little bit jealous and you can't really celebrate them. Like, knowing that is, if we're talking about this polarity that we've been talking about fear versus love or scarcity versus abundance, like that definitely falls into the scarcity and the fear side. And how do you need to love yourself in order to celebrate other people? Because celebrating other people is on that love and abundance side. It will only bring that into your life. And it's so true that, like, while we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to other people in a way that puts us into not self, or, we should be taking responsibility if we're triggered in that way. On the other side of that, finding people who you can truly celebrate and you can allow their success to be expanding for you is going to promote so much more love and abundance in your life. It's such a life hack. And honestly, that phrase of like finding expanders in general has been huge for me as far as abundance, to see that there are people in my life that I really admire, or people that I see online or whatever it is, that I admire the way that they're doing something and I admire their success and I can celebrate their success. And that only adds to your own abundance in your life. And if we're talking about the same polarity, I feel like love is about unity and like seeing that we're interconnected, and fear and scarcity are about separation and like toxic individualism where you're like out for yourself and you're in competition with everyone else. And I feel like through practicing, celebrating, and promoting and giving to and being generous with people who expand you, that really creates more abundance in your life personally, but it also is something that promotes unity consciousness and oneness consciousness in the world. And that is such an important quality for us to be embodying. I mean, it's literally the remedy to greed, which is toxic individualism, scarcity, and fear. Celebrating other people and seeing their success as your success when that's authentic for you and you actually feel that from within, that creates this energy of true love, connection, unity, consciousness that can really help heal the planet.
Yes, and when you, like, taking that a step further, you realize that you are everyone and everyone is
Yeah.
you, that when you're celebrating them, you're celebrating yourself. Like, you're celebrating your own consciousness, and if you just heard that line and you're like, "What the fuck?" Go back to, like, I don't know, episode 5 or something way early in our podcast where we break down, unity consciousness and oneness, and it's actually, I feel like, one of my favorite episodes. I
Mhm.
haven't re-listened to it, but I'm talking about it and doing it, I just remember I loved that episode, it was so good. So anyways, go back and listen if you haven't. And one thing that I've been doing, another thing, I guess I should say, that I really love the energy of generosity, and, I've always been like that ever since I was a kid, like, my grandma would take me shopping, during the summers, and I would always buy gifts for my friends, and then, like, give them out, and it just made me so happy, and I do think one of my love languages is gifts, but it's not, like, my first one, I don't think, but I think giving, like, my how I like to give love language versus how I like to receive, is different. Like, I don't like to receive gifts as much as I like to give them. Anyways, that was a tangent, but my point is that one thing I've been playing with is whenever I go out to a restaurant by myself, which isn't that often, but when I do, I buy someone else's meal in the restaurant, like just one other person randomly. And I don't tell them, I just tell the waiter and I just like have them add it to my bill and that's it. And getting to feel like that emotion, that surprise of like, "What? Someone covered my meal? Like, who was it? I don't know." Like, that energy of like, "Wow, life is supporting me," or maybe this was the one sign or synchronicity that they needed to take that next step in their life, or a decision that they were making, or the feeling of like, life is supporting me, and life is full of
Mhm.
surprises, and I don't have to have all the answers. Things can come out of the blue. Like, that frequency of that and getting to be the one that created that feels so abundant and feels
Yeah.
so generous and loving, because knowing that that energy is coming back to me times 10, it's not like I'm doing it because I'm trying to get that. It's just that feeling of like, we're all fucking here. That is me over there eating. And I'm just going to be a little butterfly that's like comes into their day today. And they might pass that on. They might not, but it's just that energy of like throwing out a stone and seeing the ripples and having consciousness and intention to throw that stone out. Now, I'm not saying that everybody needs to be buying everybody else's meals. I'm just saying that there's little ways that you can just sprinkle that energy that you want in your life of feeling supported, of feeling
Yeah.
loved, of feeling like you don't have to have everything figured out all the time, because ultimately, I think that's what we all want when we're talking about abundance. We want liberation. We want to feel held and supported, and like we can just live without having to like micromanage and stress and hustle and burn out and get, climb the ladder. Like, ultimately, what we want is liberation. So, that's just another little tip. And you can obviously get creative with that in little tiny ways. You don't have to like, have a ton of money to not saying that I do, but you don't have to like have a ton of money to buy people's meals all the time. There's small ways that you can do this and really connect with that same frequency.
Yeah, I'm a coffee girly, just for anyone who didn't know that, and my guilty pleasure, which
Yes, you are.
I feel like this is a Leo thing. I saw this once on a meme, but like my guilty pleasure is just going to Starbucks, and it's just like so delightfully delicious, and like I don't let myself do it that often. But anyways, one
Literally,
time I went
no one knows that when Dana stays anywhere, I have never seen her, like,
not
not have
have
a coffee
coffee.
brought to her. No, like, because I've only been with
Oh.
you with when you're with other people. Like, I've never been you alone in your house where nobody's bringing you coffee. But, like, anytime I've
Because
been
my
around you, I'm there, or, like, your husband's there, or someone, a friend is there, your mom is there. Like, somebody is bringing you coffee in the morning, and it's, like, exactly how you like it with the froth milk
Oh.
and the sugar and the, everything, and it's, like, I know, and it brings me joy. But every time Dana sleeps over at my house, it's like I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta go make Dana's coffee." And then Dana comes out every time from the shower and she's like, "You made me coffee?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Because it's just Leo Queen. It ask energetically and you shall receive your whole life. Coffee is brought to you every morning.
I am so blessed. Like, that just made me so excited for my life and for being me. And it's so true that the people who love me in my life know that that's my greatest love language. And I don't expect it, but when you do make me a coffee, I literally feel like it's my greatest love language. I could just burst into like a ball of love and like cosmic energy that blesses the whole world. So thank you for
So
participating in that.
funny.
I was gonna say that one time I went through Starbucks drive-through and they were like, the person in front of you bought your coffee for you. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, well, I'll buy the person behind me coffee. And then they laughed and they were like, this has been going on for 3 hours. That
Oh
no
my
one that
gosh.
no one just received it. Every single person bought the person behind them coffee. And I just thought
Wow.
it was so cute and sweet. And it brought, like you were saying, like magical butterfly energy into my life, even though it's something small, that type of generosity and communal energy where you're giving to other people. That's on the side of abundance, right? That is the energy of love and abundance frequency. So it just felt so special. And so now every time I go through the Starbucks drive through, I always do that. And then I wonder what kind of chain
Started
reaction
something for
I set
like
off.
10 hours.
Yeah, but I mean it's really true that it's just a small thing that you can do that brings so much magic into your life. And if you're having a day where you're feeling off or you're feeling stressed about finances or you're feeling like, you've looked at your what the earnings that you had, your income that month, and you're feeling off in that regard, I feel like doing something like that can automatically shift your frequency into abundance. It's such a small and easy thing, but it naturally connects you into that space. And I wanted to share a couple other things that I've been doing personally. One of them, I think, Shayna, you actually sent me, that was like in a video, but it was like every time you earn any amount of money, even if it's small, like $1, you celebrate and you tell the universe, like, thank you so much for this dollar coming in. Or if it's $30, or if it's $130, or if it's $1,000, it really doesn't matter. And this has been so helpful to me because one of the things that I didn't realize I was doing was having like not enoughness around the amount of money. And I think that that can come from anyone that has an undefined sacral. There can be this not self theme of not enoughness, but that energy is so strong in our world that it can be a conditioned thing no matter what that we feel in our lives. Like nothing is ever enough. And this amount of money is not enough to be grateful for. This amount of money is not enough to celebrate. This amount of money is not enough for me to receive or like have what I need from it or to for it to matter in my life. And I did not realize that I was doing that, but I definitely was. And through this practice of celebrating every single dollar, like at first it kind of felt like I was forcing myself to do it or like, something that didn't feel 100% authentic for me. But the more that I started doing it, the more I just built this new muscle where it felt so easy. Every single email that you get that has this money coming in or every single notification, really taking a second and saying like, thank you, universe. I received this with so much gratitude, with so much love, with so much celebration. And that has been something that has felt so good to shift into that higher perspective, because I've definitely observed this in my life and in my friends' life, that not enoughness can be such a strong theme. Like, it really doesn't matter how much money you earn. I think about people like when you were 21 and you earned such a small income and it didn't feel like enough then, and now you're 31 and you earn a way bigger income, but it still doesn't feel like enough. But if you think about this income that you're getting now, if you got it as a 21-year-old, you'd be like, holy shit, I'm rich. But it doesn't matter what the freaking dollar amount is. It literally is about your celebration and your ability to receive it with gratitude. And I feel like we know that when we talk about manifestation, or abundance in general. We know that we need to be grateful, but sometimes it's easy to avoid doing that unless we have a conscious practice like this that we're doing. And, stretching our awareness, stretching our nervous system, and really like not discrediting or looking over the small blessings in our life. But when we look for those little blessings and celebrate them, they start to become more and more apparent. We start to get ourselves into that energetic frequency.
Yes. And on that flip side, I've also been doing anytime that I have to spend money, I'm not framing it as like, oh, I have to pay this bill or I have to buy this thing. I've been really framing it as like, I get to pay this bill because I have
Yeah.
money that I can pay this with. Even if it's on a credit card, it's like, I have a credit card that I can put this on. Like, I am supported. I have this money to spend. And it's with small things, right? Like my daughter's aging, like growing out of all of her clothes right now. And organic baby clothes are fucking expensive. Um, and there's definitely probably ways that I could be doing better around this, but like this is just not something that I'm passionate about and or finding creative solutions around. But it's that energy of like, I get to buy all of her 12 to 18-month clothes right now. Like I get to do that.
Yay.
And that's amazing because I have the resources to do so. And even if I didn't, like I would be able to figure it out because I am abundant in the fact that I was born, in the fact that I have made it this far in my life and haven't died of starvation or like homelessness out on the street. Like I'm abundant in the fact that I get to make decisions every single day and choose where I want to spend my money or celebrate the fact that I received $11 today, like whatever it is. Um, that energy of celebration on either side. Like there's always an opportunity to find lack and stress, and there's always an opportunity to
Mhm.
find love and expansion, like always.
Yeah.
And I think that we don't realize how much we give our power away with every single thought that we have and every moment that we ping our energy down with that lack where you can just easily, it doesn't take like a lot of work, just notice it and then ping it back up like, you know what? I get to do this. And I have been trying to do that with my energy levels. Like, I get to wake up every day at 5 a.m. and go to bed every night at 10. Like, I get to be in this era of no sleep and being an exhausted projector. Like, how amazing that I get to do that because it's true. Like, there are people that will never get to experience that. And I am incredibly blessed. So I've been trying to catch my languaging anytime that I say I have to, or even that internal sigh of not enoughness, like you were talking about, Dana, and flipping the script. And it's been so liberating, which is the ultimate frequency that we're all wanting.
Yeah, I love that so much. Another thing that I've been doing is best case scenario visioning instead of worrying, which I feel like is so commonly connected to scarcity and fear and, lack mentality,
Yes.
lack mindset. Worry really is on that side of that polarity. And so when I catch myself feeling anxious about, the future, or feeling anxious about, finances with supporting my parents as they're getting older, like anything like that. I like to do this actually when I'm falling asleep because your mind is in that super relaxed kind of hypnotic state where you're closer to, I'll do some breath. I'll really let myself, maybe listen to music or binaural beats or something like that. And then I'll do this best case scenario visioning where I'll think about what is the best possible thing that could happen and the most abundance that could come in? And what would I be able to do with that abundance? Who would I be able to help? So I like to think of it with like specific things. Like, for example, if I'm worried about taking care of my parents or something like that, I'll do it with that circumstance and I'll replay different potentials or different possibilities over and over again in my mind in this super relaxed state until I fall asleep. Or I like to just think about abundance in my life in general. Like, if billions of dollars came into my bank account tomorrow, what would I do with that? How would I give that out to the world? And I think about creating these healing centers that are just absolutely gorgeous, and people are coming in and taking free classes about their human design, and there's free family and relationship counseling with these spiritual strategies like human design and gene keys, etc. I think about the beauty of nature and preserving nature and buying plots of land where people are eco gardening and protecting water. And I think about, all of the things that I would do, creating a school where I'm teaching people how to sing to water or sing to the earth to care for a better planet. And by doing that best case scenario dreaming and visioning around abundance, it is the most powerful and beautiful gift that I give myself. And oftentimes it brings me into my sleeping dreams where I have this really abundant altered state. And anything that needs to come out from my subconscious that doesn't align with that will be revealed to me in my dreams that I then get to work through the next day. So, I mean, I feel like this best case scenario visioning is powerful at any point in your day. Like, it could be in the morning that you're journaling that, or that you're saying it out loud, especially if you're a manifester, a manifesting generator, or a self-projected projector like Shayna, where she needs to use her voice. Like, you could say these things out loud at any point in the day. But I also feel like for me, doing it at nighttime before sleep and really getting it into my subconscious and then connecting that to my subconscious and my higher self through my dreams has been a really beautiful practice. And for going back to the point of this conversation, what if there's more money in the hands of conscious people? This is a really important practice to do, is to think about you as an individual listening to this. If you had more abundance, what would you do with it? Write that down. Start talking about it. Start getting excited about that potential. Start defining or heartstorming with your friends the things that you would create. The if you want to travel with that money, why? And how would that help you grow as an individual? And then what would you do with that? How would you give that growth and that new awareness out into the world? And I think by fleshing those stories out and by dreaming about them and giving them more of our time and intention, we shift that space into more of that reality. Now, the big trick with that, of course, is to not become attached to these stories or to feel like they need to happen at a certain time point. Otherwise, we're not successful or we're not getting what we want in life. Like, it really is about the excitement and the potential and the dreaming energy that starts everything. And I feel like this is a wisdom code from human design, because gate 41 is this initiating codon, and this is the gate of the dreamer. I have this gate in really strongly in my design, so does Shayna. But with this energy of the dreamer being into this romanticized, just like happy and light and in love with life and creative, that energy initiates and starts new realities. It opens the door to new potential and to new cycle. And the not self with this energy is gripping onto those things, needing to make them happen, getting too logistic or too physical with those things right away. It's so much more about the creativity, the soulful dreamer energy. That is the energy that opens doors in your life. That is the energy that
Yes.
starts new cycles.
Yes, and that is the energy that I think a lot of people skip that step, like the dreaming energy. That's why, so many the law of attraction works, because people, they dream up and they get clear on like, what is it that I want? What is the type of house that I want, or the place I want to live, or the car I want to have, or the money in my bank account that I want, like the relationship, like what are those things? You have to ask those questions to get and be in that dreamy kind of place. Um, but then, yeah, releasing that outcome and not like trying to muscle it into place is the part of surrender that is needed, and for surprises to come in, like we're talking about with that surprise, generous, life's got you. You're steering the ship by getting clear with your awareness and then using your strategy and authority every day is what we would say with human design. Um yeah, I one thing I've been exploring is life book, which is like basically just helps you get really clear on what it is that you want in all of these different categories of your life. And it's so interesting, the people that created Lifebook, they're like, we just got really clear and dreamt up our life and wrote everything down in these categories with this specific, framework. And then literally everything happened. And then we did that with our friends and our like, their partners, and then everything on their things happened. And it is because it is that initiating codon. It opens those doors. It starts those things to happen. So there's so many different resources that you can use to do that, but I've been shocked in my own personal life, the amount of times that I've asked people, like, if there were no limits or parameters on anything, what do you want? Like, what do you dream up of your life? Like the question that you asked, if you had unlimited resources, what would you do with it? And where would you go? And like that question, so many people have been like, I don't know. No idea. I'm
Yeah.
just like getting through my day. And if you didn't have to get through your day, if you genuinely could just choose anything that you wanted to do with any amount of resources, like what would that be? That question I feel like it feel to a lot of people feels silly, but I think it might be one of the most important questions that you can ask yourself to start moving towards that direction instead of just making it through your life.
I totally agree. And I think that it's interesting, like, why have people not spent time to think about that before? I feel like there's probably a lot of reasons and it varies on the individual. But one of them is I think that people feel like if they get clear about what they truly want or what they would really do if there were no limitations and then that doesn't happen, that they'll feel disappointed with their life or that they'll judge themselves or that they'll, like it's like too scary to name it because if they
Yeah.
don't get it, they'll be disappointed. And that is clearly coming from a lack of empowerment, a lack of self confidence, and ultimately a lack of love and trust and faith. And it's also missing the point because the point is about the dreaming, not about actualizing it or forcing it to happen. Like it's about the journey, not the destination. I really feel like that energetically is so true when we're talking about envisioning our most abundant life and then moving into that. It's important to be focused on that energy. So that fear of like, what if it doesn't happen after I claim it? It really doesn't need to exist. It can instead be when I claim this thing and when I get clear on that, that elevates my life in so many ways. And I can let go of the control about how that looks in the end.
And circling back to literally the start of this conversation and the topic of this episode, that's what we're doing right now for the new paradigm. Like we are dreaming up a better world, a better new paradigm. Everyone here, everyone listening, but every single light worker, person who wants to change the world, you're literally dreaming up a better world. And then that's opening up the doors for that to become a reality. And then it's just about in this moment, what is my strategy and authority telling me? And can I listen? That's it. That's it. And it's like, you're not going to have all the answers. You're not going to know all the timing. You can't force things to happen, but you can take aligned action with what is best for you in this moment and stay connected to your vision, to your dream, and let it shift and change. But that dreamer energy, like we are needed now more than ever to dream up a better future for this new paradigm to help open those doors to create it. So, hopefully, this conversation has inspired you, but also validated you and empowered you to keep going. The world needs you now more than ever, whatever way you're wanting to help heal the planet. And we are so grateful that you're doing the work that you're doing and that we get to be alongside you on this journey. And if you want to connect with us more, obviously you can connect with us on our website, daylunalife.com, on our Instagram at dayluna. And if you're feeling called to take our course, Activate Your Golden Purpose, all of that is in the show notes below. And I'm sure you by now you've probably heard a lot about this course, but it is open right now. I almost forgot. It's open right now until August 18th. So this course is incredible. It will change your life. Just the workbook alone that you get with this course is life-changing because of how personalized it is and how advanced it is. It's honestly the equivalent of like 5 advanced readings in this workbook. And so when the doors close on the 18th, that's it. We go into customizing and creating all of your workbooks for everyone to get started on September 8th and dive into this content all about purpose, all about abundance, prosperity, and breaking down the exact codes in your chart that tell you how to market yourself, how what your purpose is, what your blocks are, what your core wounding is. It's life-changing information.
And I'm just really excited to be able to share it with our community because, like, in this conversation, we've shared so many tips and practices and themes that apply to all of us, to all humans, to all energetic beings, living in a human form. But in this Activate Your Golden Purpose training, it is so detailed and specific. And that you're going to learn so much depth about yourself, really specific things that you're here to do, that you're here to share, the way that you're here to market yourself, the way that you're here to structure how you share, the challenges that you can overcome. And when you do overcome those challenges and start sharing those energies with bravery and courage, you're going to see such results happen because there's just so much specificity and practical application in the stuff that we're teaching in this course. So I'm really excited for that because it's not general. It's not everyone do this one thing. It is so specific to the exact codes in your design. And the things that we're teaching in this training, they're really deep, advanced levels of human design paired with the gene keys. And the reason for that is because so many people in our community have already been living their strategy and authority. They've already looked into their cross of incarnation and they wanted more. And these were the topics that we wove together to give you that level of depth. And with this conversation that we've had today, it's really clear that in order to be in an abundant flow in life, you have to know yourself, you have to love yourself, you have to be confident in who you are. And there's no real way to do those things unless you are absolutely crystal clear about exactly who you are, what those challenges are in your life, how you're meant to show up, how you're meant to share your voice. All of the things that we're doing about comparing ourselves to other people or getting triggered when it comes to marketing. And so we're just hiding and not sharing our voice. All of those things get solved when we have this understanding of how we are meant to share our gifts. We are meant to share our purpose in a way that's going to align with our dream clients naturally. And, in the Pearl sequence of the Gene Keys, there are these very specific things that you can learn about yourself that have just unlocked everything in our lives around our relationship to finances, around how we're meant to really share our brand so that we stop comparing ourselves to other people. It's just so practical and specific. I'm really excited to hear how this group that goes through this first training journey with us gets to apply these things and gets to experience more abundance in their lives so that they can actually share their purpose, share their passions, and provide for themselves, because we really want people to feel like they can do that and to not feel overwhelmed like they need to have a second day job while they're trying to live their passions. Like, we are ready to step into this new world where people who are aware, who are conscious, who are connected to love, who are wanting to make the world a better place, have the tools that they need to be able to provide for themselves and create a life that's going to be sustainable and prosperous. So we're really fired up about this, and we just can't wait to get started. If you're feeling called to join us, the doors are still open, and we are really holding so much space in our hearts for everyone listening to this conversation, everyone in our community, and everyone in the world who wants to truly make the world a better place. We are holding the deepest space for your prosperity, for your rising, for the abundance that is naturally our birthright, that we are inherently worthy to receive, to naturally fall into all of our hearts, into all of our lives, so that we can continue to spread our medicine and our love and our prosperity from inside out into the world around us.
Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to follow along and learn more about human design.